A rare portrait of the late Princess Diana taken by the famous British photographer David Bailey over 3 decades ago will be featured on the cover of the January 2023 issue of Tatler magazine, it has been revealed. The black and white photograph is thought to originate from a photo shoot Bailey did with Diana back in 1988, when she was still married to Prince Charles. Not much is known about the specific context of the photo shoot, but the portrait shows a 27-year-old Diana looking off into the distance, her short hair characteristically coiffed. Bailey, now 85 years old, has taken portraits of many iconic cultural figures over his long career, including other members of the British royal family, like Princess Margaret. The magazine will also include a scathing critique of the latest season of the popular Netflix series, The Crown by royal historian Hugo Vickers. Vickers slams the show's creators, accusing them of having no interest at all in accurately portraying the truth about the royal family's history in the recent seasons. He says the show has gotten worse and worse in its quest for more dramatic storylines as it has covered more recent history. Vickers specifically criticizes the 6th season's extensive focus on Princess Diana's death in a car accident in 1997, suggesting it was in poor taste and extremely upsetting for her children Prince William and Prince Harry to see it dramatized. He even rebukes the show for including a reported reappearance of Diana as a ghost, seemingly indicating the series has reached new lows in exaggerating aspects of the story for entertainment purposes. Vickers pointedly asks, "How low can the producers stoop?" in his Tatler piece. Clearly he thinks The Crown has crossed ethical lines with its latest season. The specific Princess Diana portrait Tatler has chosen for its cover is assumed to originate from that 1988 Bailey photo shoot. Last year, Bailey shared some behind-the-scenes revelations about photographing members of the royal family over the years. He explained how when shooting Diana, his assistant accidentally dropped a photography light right onto the princess's head. Bailey was terrified about Diana's reaction, expecting anger, but instead she calmly told him not to worry as it was merely a terrible accident. Bailey was impressed by her magnanimous response, a word which Diana did not actually know the meaning of, so he had to define it for her. Bailey also noted that Diana's hair back then was full of heavy hairspray, so much that it felt solid as a plastic dummy. Elsewhere in the interview last year, Bailey made remarks about photographing Queen Elizabeth. He said the Queen, whom he described as very girlish in person, had beautifully smooth skin for her age when he shot pictures of her. Bailey has become renowned for his stark black and white photographic portraits, which emphasize lighting and shadows to create striking effects. Decades ago, it was the late royal photographer Norman Parkinson who was meant to take Diana's 1988 portraits, but the princess herself supposedly handpicked Bailey as the one she wanted to work with instead. Bailey had previously photographed Princess Margaret's then-husband, Anthony Armstrong Jones, the Earl of Snowdon, likely influencing Diana's preference for him. Vickers' fiery essay in Tatler is far from the first instance of The Crown facing extensive criticism for its interpretive portrayal of British royal history, especially in its last 2 seasons covering the 1990s and early 2000s. Just this week, the popular male podcast, The Crown, Fact or Fiction, highlighted another example from the newest season of a real-life event being misconstrued for dramatic impact. The podcast episode focused on the show's recreation of a 1997 Prince Charles photo shoot with his 2 sons William and Harry in Balmoral. The photo shoot took place only about 2 weeks prior to Diana's shocking death in Paris. In The Crown's version, the event is falsely portrayed as a last-minute public relations scheme hatched by palace courtiers specifically to counteract the publication of photos showing Diana out enjoying herself with new billionaire boyfriend Dodi Fayed. Veteran male royal correspondent Richard Kay was actually present at the original 1997 photo shoot, and he thoroughly debunks The Crown's account on the podcast. He explains how the casual photos of Charles and the boys on the River Dee were long pre-planned, not whipped together in reaction to Diana's romance news. They were also taken by a staff photographer for a major British wire service in front of a gaggle of attending media. On the show, by contrast, a local Scottish photographer is shown arriving discreetly to capture hastily staged family pictures in private. So once again, it appears Netflix has seen fit to rewrite history and fictionalize real royal events to spice up its latest season. Hugo Vickers certainly seems justified so far in questioning the series' commitment to basic truths at this point. We will have to see whether The Crown makes any effort to hew closer to established facts instead of fabricating its own provocative storylines when it returns for a sixth and supposedly final season covering the royal family's history since the early 2000s. The recent episode of the popular Netflix series The Crown contains some inaccuracies and fabricated events regarding Princess Diana's anti-landmine campaigning and her personal life in the months leading up to her tragic death. Royal correspondent Robert Kay revealed that the scenes showing an impromptu photo session with Prince Charles and his sons William and Harry at Balmoral Castle, after Diana's romantic getaway photos with Dottie Fayed were published, were not entirely accurate. In truth, the photo call had been planned several days in advance of the release of Diana's photos on a yacht with her new boyfriend. Over 40 members of the media were invited to Balmoral to take part in the photo op. So while the show depicted it as a reactionary event organized by the palace, in reality it had been scheduled prior. A palace official actually explicitly denied that it was arranged in response to Diana's vacation images. Additionally, the scenes of Diana walking through a live minefield in Bosnia were completely fabricated. Princess Diana never literally walked through an active minefield. The recognizable images of her in protective gear were actually taken months earlier on a trip to Angola to support the Halo Trust, a leading anti-landmine charity. The showrunners decided to fictionalize her bravely traversing an actual minefield in Bosnia for added drama, but she wisely did not take that risk in real life. Furthermore, the comedic press conference portrayed following Diana's Bosnia trip never occurred. She was shown being comically bombarded with questions about her romantic life, but no such circus-like media event happened. The show depicted her wearing a badge for a small New Zealand charity called Relief Aid, which does not deal with landmines, when in reality she wore a British Red Cross badge in Angola and supported the Halo Trust's work. The Halo Trust was disappointed not to be featured or consulted in the series, as it could have brought valuable attention and funding to their noble cause. So while the intentions were likely to honor Princess Diana's incredible advocacy and fearlessness, the show missed the mark on accuracy regarding important details surrounding her anti-landmine campaigns and her fraught relationship with the media in her final months. Her story is so powerful that it does not need additional dramatization or fabricated events. Simply depicting the incredible real-life princess doing real-life work would have accomplished the same ends. As we near the 25-year anniversary of Diana's early passing, it is understandable for writers and producers to revisit such a captivating figure who touched millions of lives. But monumental real figures merit faithfulness to their true stories, so future retrospective works would do well to stick to the facts rather than fictionalize such important moments in history. Elements like who Diana was supporting, what words and badges she actually used, and the true sequence of events serve to reinforce her profound legacy of humanitarianism. Future series and films would better celebrate her by adhering strictly to the accurate record of her selfless crusades against injustice and preventable suffering in the world.
Dear friend, if you like everything new about the royal family and don't want to miss all the novelties, subscribe to our channel and like it. By doing so, you take part in our development. We work for you.